Hey there, everyone. I'm Jordan Luker, and this is 5G technology in New Zealand. So, just to start, giving you a little background on New Zealand, it's a robust economy, a very developed country at that, but it still has a long way to go in reaching sustainable development goals. And as an island nation very close to the Arctic, New Zealand's vast ecosystems can continually be under threat from climate change. And as you see in this quote from the NIWA, New Zealand's snow-capped mountains are currently in retreat because of the effects of climate change. Only 35% of waste in New Zealand is recycled, which is one of the lowest rates in the world, obviously related to UN SDG 11 of building sustainable cities and being responsible consumption. While not UN SDG related, New Zealand is also constantly under threat from natural disasters such as earthquakes and volcanoes. So, what is 5G? We'll just start here with the definition. This is from the Duffy article, and I sort of put it into my own words from CNN. 5G is the next step in network technology. It has the ability not only handle more devices than ever before, but also sets the stage for more powerful technology. And it was first publicly available around 2018, but it's been a hypothetical technology since the 1980s, almost, I've read in some places. So the types of 5G, we've gone over this, the CNN article by Duffy, low band, mid band, and high band. Basically, the lower the band, the wider the coverage, but the less fast is compared to 4G rates. So high band, very fast speeds, but low coverage rates. So I looked at some careers in 5G and obviously the development of the technology. It's relatively new, being available to the public. So it's one of the fastest growing careers in this field. And that is the network infrastructure and deployment sector, because of how fast 5G is growing. So the deployment of 5G networks obviously requires an extensive infrastructure to keep maintaining, and that area is crucial for career growth. That's according to Qualcomm. And those in charge of development ensure that 5G infrastructure is seamless and optimized. So this 5G deployment and development job, some skills for this include network planning, design, the ability to work independently and under pressure, and attention to detail. The average salary for this career is just over $120,000 a year. That was the average I was getting from sites such as Glassdoor and ZipRecruiter. So where's 5G being used? The three industries I chose here, agriculture, healthcare, those two are pretty obvious. So 5G obviously can take more devices than ever, and especially for healthcare, this is very important because you want to get healthcare to people as fast as possible. And as healthcare continues to grow as an industry and you try and be faster and give people more individual care, you're going to need faster technology and larger technology that can be able to take large amounts of data. And 5G technology is currently the only thing that can take such large amounts of data. Similar with agriculture. If you want to know how your crops are doing, you're going to need 5G technology to maintain such large swaths of data. And in government, specifically, I think 5G is very important as well, and it's being used to read data from citizens to better understand what legislation needs to be passed. And obviously, 5G is being used in government to governments, obviously, the ones who are funding 5G production in a lot of places, along with the private sector. So, using 5G to address SDG challenges can be used to ensure the equality of learning takes place. Used to ensure quality learning takes place, the network infrastructure allows for more resource-intensive programs to be used in education related to UN SDG 4, can be used to track usage during the production process and save resources. That's obviously related to sustainable consumption and production, and those were some specifics, but the increased capacity of 5G relates to almost any UN SDG goal when you think about it. It opens the door for just infinite possibilities in sustainable development. I just use those specifically, but the amount of data 5G can take and the amount of devices it can take at once, like you see those windmills, you could have a 5G network in that little area, taking the Bluetooth from all of those windmills and reading data from every one of them. So some barriers to 5G development I saw, obviously it's very expensive to develop, it's very expensive to maintain. I mentioned those high band networks that are really fast. Well, to get those high band networks that are super fast, you have to essentially build thousands of mini 5G towers, almost like on light poles and other such, to get that speed because of the amount you have to build. And you have to pay the people to maintain them when they go down so you don't get thousands of emails from your angry customers. So some other barriers, slow adoption. I think a lot of people, are just sort of slow to adopt. They don't have the money to buy a new phone every now and then. And also, You see in less developed countries with less developed technology, it's going to take longer for 5G to develop than the United States that had a lot of that network infrastructure already. And the last one I find the most interesting is the misinformation. This started definitely around COVID when people were saying 5G was causing COVID-19 and that the waves from 5G were causing cancer too. This is obviously false, but it does lead to some public mistrust of that information. So how is 5G being used in New Zealand specifically? 5G is being used in New Zealand to better detect volcanoes and earthquakes. Obviously, you see there. So how it works to detect these sort of natural disasters, you have a central station, and I know it says it uses a tsunami, but you can also use this for any situation almost. You have the central station, the actual sensors underwater or underground you can use, and then the acoustic communications. There's a lot of interconnecting parts. And also you need the 5G technology to communicate with the public quicker that those disasters are happening. So using 5G as mentioned previously, to promote sustainable production in New Zealand, using 5G technology to closely monitor energy usage in buildings, and finally, it can be used to promote connection between rural and urban areas to ensure a more equitable economy. So here's my 2 truths and a lie for 5G. 5G is a relatively new technology and still in the early stages of development in most countries. 5G can be used to track resources used in production, and 5G can cause brain cancer from waves it produces and caused COVID-19. I think this one's pretty obvious, but I'll give you a couple seconds. And it's the third one. It's false. 5G obviously doesn't cause brain cancer and didn't cause COVID-19. That's been proven false multiple times, and the waves do not cause cancer. So thank you for listening. Here's my works cited if you wanted to see those sources.